Hello friends, welcome back to my channel if you're returning, and if this is the first video of mine that you're catching, welcome. My name is Rachel and I'm a reseller on sites like eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. I primarily purchase inventory online to resell in my online business. What I do is when I order a new box, I come on this channel, I show you live what came inside, and then I come back 90 days later and I re-review the box, give you my recommendation based on my actual results after 90 days. So today we're doing a 90-day update on a ThredUp DIY denim box. And if you want to see how this one did for me, definitely stick around. So I love me a ThredUp DIY box. I don't do them too often, but the denim one is definitely my favorite that I've done the most of. You know, I sell on ThredUp. I send them consignment boxes, and typically what I do is I take the credits that I get, because it's usually not a ton. In fact, I'll link a video down below of, I made a video about like how I use ThredUp and what my strategy is with ThredUp. But long story short, once I have enough ThredUp credits to buy a rescue box, I typically buy a rescue box. And more often than not, it's this DIY denim box because it's the one that I like the most. So I recently bought one end of 2024, and it's time to do an update on it. It is a relatively low risk, low reward type of box, but if you're the type of person that's just starting out and you don't really have like a ton of money to invest into inventory right away, something like this might be right up your alley. So I will share with you what sold and how much it sold for. I'll show you what I have left, and then at the end of the video, I will re-rate the box based on the ease of listing, quality of items, and overall profitability in 90 days, and then give you my recommendation of whether I buy another one based on these results. Please consider subscribing to the channel if you like content like this. I love sharing what's working for me in my reseller business, sometimes what's not working for me, in hopes that it helps others in their reseller business. Hit that like button if you could. That definitely helps out the channel. It lets me know you like this kind of content. And let me know in the comments if you've ordered this box recently and if your results were similar to mine or different. I would definitely love to know. This is a secondhand denim box, and really the possibilities are endless. No two people are going to get the same stuff. So let me know how yours has done if you've ordered this before. Okay, so I think, I don't really remember, but ThredUp has a 30-pound and a 50-pound option sometimes. I'm pretty sure I got the 30-pound box. I really don't remember, so don't quote me on that. But in any rate, I ended up listing 17 items out of this box. Typically with ThredUp rescue boxes, on average, about half of the items are worth listing and the other half are not. A lot of times it has to do with either like the brands that they send you, the quality of the items. Sometimes they're flawed. Sometimes they're just not worth listing. I think this might have been a 30-pound box because 17, I remember that this was, I was surprised by how many items I was able to salvage out of the box, and 17 seems like a good number, but again, don't quote me on that. So of the 17, I have sold 7. So I've sold 7 and I have 10 left. So I'll show you what sold first, then I'll show you what I still have left. And then at the very end, I will re-rate the box. I've linked the original unboxing down below if you want to see, you know, if there's anything that I didn't list, you'll see it in that video. And also you'll see my original rating when I first opened the box before I had a chance to sell any of it. So the first thing that sold, and I always go from lowest sale price to high, this was a pair of two-tone button fly jeans from Pacson. And these actually sold just a few weeks ago. I was a little worried about these because I had a similar pair of jeans, the two-tone style from Pacson. I think the ones I had before were men's and these were women's, but either way, I was very concerned that these were not going to sell because the other ones that I had that were similar sat here for like, no joke, like 2 years. So I didn't really have high hopes for these, but they were in otherwise really great condition. So I listed them anyway. They ended up selling, it took 4 months, but they ended up selling on Poshmark with the discounted shipping because my Posher VA sent automatic offer to Liker on this. So they got 10% off of my asking price plus the discounted shipping. And so that was $15 sale. Oh, and by the way, I guess I should tell you what I paid for this. So my cost of goods was $50.83 or $2.99 per piece on this box. So the lowest selling item sold for $15. I had $2.99 into $15. Again, we're talking like low risk, low reward here. But everything in the box that has sold at a profit. So, I mean, again, the bar is set very low given the cost and given the sale price, but just to put in perspective what we're talking here. Next up were these dark wash cutoff denim shorts from J. Crew. I sell a ton of J. Crew, but what I usually deal with is new with tags, current season, or maybe one season before. I don't typically source a lot of like secondhand J. Crew or any J. Crew that's more than a couple of years old. So selling these, again, I wasn't really like sure how they would do, but I did decide to list them. They sold in February on eBay for $17.99. Not bad considering February is still pretty much winter. I mean, we're starting to roll into the spring season, but you know, I typically, I do sell some summer things in winter, but not like a ton. So I'm not complaining that those sold in February. Then there were the 4-inch mom shorts, high rise. These were Abercrombie & Fitch, size 4. I have found with Abercrombie & Fitch, which this is, I guess, an anomaly because most brands, this is not the case. But Abercrombie & Fitch, the smaller the size, the quicker it sells. Every single time. These were a size 4, which I still consider a small size. I think anything above like a size 8 in this brand like starts to taper off how quickly it sells. The 00 and 0 fly out of here when I get it. So, but a 4 is still pretty good. These were only listed 5 weeks. These sold in January on Mercari for $19. So definitely a sought after brand if you can find the right piece. I would say these were in style enough. The size was small enough that these were easy to sell. There was the high-rise straight jeans from Gap. These were also a size 4. These were actually only listed 2 weeks. Actually, I think, yeah, these were the first to sell out of the box. I do love Gap jeans, especially more current style Gap jeans or like 15 plus years old Gap jeans. Not necessarily old enough to be vintage, but if you're looking at a style that they don't make anymore, that they haven't made in years, that can typically be a good pickup as well. But anyway, these sold on eBay for $22.49 plus the buyer paid shipping. Then I had a pair of the Amsterdam flare jeans from Banana Republic. These sold in March on Poshmark for $24 by offer. So my Posher VA sent an offer of 10% off with discounted shipping. I don't typically sell or seek out Banana Republic. I would say Banana Republic, which Gap and Banana Republic, if you didn't know, are owned by the same like umbrella company. It's Old Navy, Gap, Banana Republic, Athleta. There might be one more. They're all like the same company. So although Gap does really well for me and Athleta does pretty well for me, Banana Republic and Old Navy, I don't typically like source for resale. Even though Banana Republic is the highest retail price, it just doesn't resell great. But since these came in a box, I did, decide to list them and see what happened. They did take a couple months. These sold for $24 on Poshmark. My Posher VA sent a 10% off offer with discounted shipping. So I will take it. I think the flare jeans helped. I think Kendrick Lamar situation with the Super Bowl helped these. All of a sudden, everybody wanted flare jeans. So I'll take it. Next up were the mom jean shorts. These were a tried and true brand for me, Madewell. I sell tons and tons and tons of Madewell, just like I sell tons of J. Crew. But again, it's usually new a tag, or it's usually like current season or maybe one season past. These couldn't have been too old if they're mom jean shorts, but they did sell on Poshmark for $25. They took till the end of March. A lot of this stuff actually didn't start moving until like March. And then I still have a lot left, and that will impact my, I guess, final assessment here. But a lot of it was shorts and springtimey, summertimey type stuff. So no surprise that these shorts waited until the end of March, but $25 for a used pair of shorts in Madewell, that's still a pretty solid sale. And the highest selling item out of this box, which is totally not a surprise, these are the straight leg crop pants in sandstone from Everlane. They were a size 2. I have sold a lot of these because Everlane is another brand that I sell a lot of. I source and sell a lot of Everlane customer returns. So a lot of it's, again, new with tag, new without tag, current, or maybe one season past. These were a pair of pants I was already familiar with because I've sold a ton of them just from ordering the customer returns. And so I really was not surprised. I was excited to see these in the box. And these also took till March to sell, but they sold for $28 on Poshmark. So I'll quickly go through what I still have left from this box. There are still 10 items. And again, you'll kind of see a theme here when you look at what's left over. I've got these straight crop jeans from Topshop. They're a size 26 petite. Topshop is not a brand that I typically seek out to resell. It's another brand that retails kind of high, but has very, very, very mediocre resale value at best. I don't like to list it or source it, but these jeans seem to be a current enough style and in good enough condition that I thought it was worth a try, but I can't honestly say I'm surprised that I haven't sold them because that's kind of what happens with Topshop. I had the Cali denim boot jeans in black from Madewell. This is a little bit of an older style, and there's a fine line between like in-demand Madewell and not in-demand Madewell. These are definitely not in demand because although I do sell a ton of Madewell, these have had very little interest. I had the vintage high-rise festival shorts from American Eagle. These I'm fully confident will sell as the weather gets warmer. The festival shorts, at least over the past couple of years, have been highly sought after, and I feel like it's just waiting for the season to roll around with these. I had a pair of the Strigid relaxed shorts, which I'll be honest with you, I'd never heard of Strigid. Straight rigid, maybe. These are a size 0, also American Eagle. These are also a more current style, which is probably why I have never heard of them. And again, I think it's just a matter of letting the season roll around on these. I had another pair of J. Crew shorts. These were the destroyed patch pocket shorts. Actually, I don't even know if that's what these were called because these were old enough that I couldn't find style information. So that's just what I called them. And again, there's a fine line between what is relevant with J. Crew and what is not. And these were older, so I wanted to give it a try, but I'm not really surprised that these haven't sold, although they are shorts. I may still have some luck as we get into the warmer months. Here's another pair of highest rise mom shorts. So American Eagle mom shorts. Again, I think these will have no problem as we get in season. I've always done historically well with American Eagle shorts, but in the summertime. Then I had a pair of black slim shorts from Gap. These were a little bit of a gamble too. They weren't super old. They're not super new, but I do still think there's hope as we get into summer. I had a pair of black button fly skinny jeans from Redone. Redone is another one of those brands that if it's super current, people will pay top dollar for it. It retails very high, but older styles, and I guess this is true for a lot of like fashionable denim brands like Frame, Mother, Citizens of Humanity. They retail super high. And if you can find current styles, you can get a nice, good resale amount for them. But when they're out of style, you can't give them away. And that's kind of how I feel about these. These are skinny jeans. So they're not selling, and I'm not surprised. Same with these. Well, I don't know what's going on with this brand in general, but these are the good waist jeans from Good American. I do still feel like you could get a nice top dollar for the right style, but these are a dime a dozen in the thrift store by now, I'm sure. These are black skinny jeans. Again, I'm sure I can't give these away, but I couldn't help but list them just in case. And then last, I have a pair of relaxed shorts. These are ivory from J. Crew. Not a current style. However, I decided to give those their fair shot. And fingers crossed that I can sell those as we move into the summer months. Okay, so final assessment on this box. As far as ease of listing, I will give this one an okay. Not that it's bad. This was a secondhand box, and I did have to thoroughly look over everything for flaws. And there's no tags on this stuff, so it was not easy for me to find style information, which isn't a bad thing. It's just when I compare it to, like, if I get a lot of new with tag that has the style numbers on it, and it's very easy for me to find, like, the name and the description. Those are usually the easiest for me. So this wasn't, like, hard, but it wasn't, like, the easiest of my inventory. It required a little bit of extra effort. So I'll give it an okay. Quality of items. There were a few things that I didn't list, whether it was that, you know, they were flawed or they weren't even worth my time to try to list. But I did list a lot out of this box. There's been ThredUp DIY Denim boxes where I've only listed 5 or 6 things out of a 50-pound box. So when I compare it to what I know to be true about these boxes, I'm going to give this an oh yeah. I think for what it was, the quality of items exceeded my expectations for sure. And then profitability in 90 days. So I paid $50.83 for this box. Typically with a secondhand box, especially when the cost of goods is this low, $2.99 per piece, I want to triple my money to make it worth my time. So what I would have wanted to do is make my $50 back plus $50 twice over, or $100 in profit. And right now I'm at $66.24 in profit. Now that's after, like, the Poshmark fees and the shipping and anything else, the platform fees. So I'm not quite at triple. I'm past double, and over half of the stuff hasn't sold, and over half of what's left are, in my opinion, reasonably sellable items for the upcoming season. So did the stuff fly out of my inventory and help me make a triple in 90 days? No. But I do think that if I give this another, like, 2 months and I start selling these shorts, I'm going to easily hit that triple mark. And, you know, at that point, it just took longer than 90 days. So that all being said, I'm going to give it an oh yeah, just because it was such a low risk, low reward, and it's not going to take me that much to get myself to the triple mark. And I'm confident that I'll hit that soon. It didn't quite hit my expectations for 90 days, like I said. If it did, I probably would have given it a holy grail, or at least considered it, because, again, it's $100 in profit is not great, but if I only paid $50 for the box itself, if I'm looking at it from the perspective of somebody that's maybe starting out, maybe doesn't have a lot of money to invest into initial inventory, then I would say that, you know, for somebody like that in that position, $100 profit after you've spent 50, you made your 50 back and you made another 100. My first year of reselling, I would have been, like, ecstatic over that. So it kind of just depends on where you are in your business and what your threshold is for risk right now. So just putting that out there, you know, it may not be, like, worth it for somebody that's, you know, lists 500 items a month, but to somebody that's doing this as a side business, that's spending a little bit of money as an investment, to make a little bit of profit, I mean, you can't go wrong with that kind of results. So anyway, make sure you let me know down below what you think about this. I feel like people may not agree with me with that assessment at the end there, but let me know either way. Make sure you subscribe if you like videos like this. I love sharing these 90-day updates and my actual results with you. Hit that like button on the way out if you could. That really helps out the channel. And that's it for today, friends. Thank you so much for watching. I will catch you in the next video.